Welcome to This Week in Pulling, the show that brings you all the action from the world of tractor and truck pulling. I'm Dan Mayer, joined by Jeremy and Miles Krieger, and each week we'll dive into the latest highlights, breaking news, and behind-the-scenes stories from the sport we all love. From upcoming events, standout performances, and the rich history that shaped pulling into what it is today, we've got you covered. So buckle up, This Week in Pulling starts now. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to This Week in Pulling. Dan Mayer, joined by Miles and Jeremy. Guys, episode 10.
10! Wow, how cool is that? We're already 10 shows in. This has been really fun so far. Thanks for everybody that's dialed in and watching with us, and for all the feedback. And guys, we're going to talk unlimiteds tonight.
The unlimited mods. We've made it 8 weeks now. This is episode, the 8th week that we've been working on these driver rankings, and we've gone, the whole scope here, and now we're in the unlimited class. So it's not a very, when we were looking at different things, and not very wide as far as class goes. I mean, last few years, maybe you'd see 12 to 15 competitors at the most, and this past year was kind of on the short side. Really, we were right around that 9 or 10. It seemed just about every event, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's true, and you guys see them a lot more the bigger events that you attend. But yeah, it seems like you have a lot of double duty drivers. So people who run mod and then put another one on and go to unlimited, or maybe vice versa. And for me, like I told you guys this afternoon, it's been really hard for me to remember which is which, because so many of them kind of jump into the both of them. But yeah, the numbers are usually pretty limited for the the unlimited class here. But I don't know about you guys, but I feel like it's kind of bittersweet. We've had a really strong run of weeks where we're thinking about who would you pick and why would you pick them, and kind of our favorite nostalgic picks as well. And that's all a little bittersweet this week, because we're done. We've covered all the classes for this year, so it's been a cool ride though, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like we just had Jesse Peter on with the the 2-wheel drives, and here we are, and before Memorial Day weekend here, and we're almost ready to go big time pulling now.
Absolutely,
yeah,
for sure. But yeah, it's been a fun ride. But let's just get into it, Dan. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So as you do every week, let's fill in the fans on how we arrived at this list.
Yep. So this list is put together by the fellow competitors that are in each class. So that'll be voted on by only the competitors that ran in this class. And you had to run this past year. You couldn't be a previous puller that had not run this past year. So everybody that ran in the unlimited class voted here, and then can't vote for yourself. And you're not voting on on the driver's equipment. You're voting on their driver ability. Sure. So that kind of cuts out a lot of different things, more or less like a coach's poll kind of thing. So that's kind of where this is, the idea behind this whole deal. And it's been pretty interesting to see what the other competitors have, thought of different pullers. And it's been really interesting. So how they do it is they'll give their top 5, and obviously they'll go from 1 through 5, and your number 1 vote gets 5 points. And then you go so on and so forth to the 1 point, and whoever ends up with the most points is your number 1 ranked driver. And, last week we had super stock diesel trucks on. Kent Crowder was voted on by his fellow peers as number 1, and got to see Kent this past weekend at the Pullers Championship. And, it was kind of a neat deal. That was kind of, the Pullers Championship event is kind of like the preseason, if you will. Everybody's kind of getting, debuting some new equipment, and, it was really good show. Did you guys have the opportunity to check it out at all, or?
I saw the highlights.
Okay.
I was kind of knee deep in my son's graduation all week.
That's right.
I really didn't have a lot of time to step away, but I kind of, followed the results and followed social media to see who was doing what. And seemed like it was a great event. But first I want to say welcome back, Miles. We missed you last week, and know you were a tad bit under the weather, but welcome back. I'm glad you're here with us tonight, and ready to talk some modifieds.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be back. Still not perfect by any means at all. I still am not feeling the greatest, but the show must go on kind of scenario in every phase of life, and that's sort of how it's been for me. And Dan, I didn't really get to watch a lot, but I did see some weather updates, and I've been to several events that have been rained out, but I don't know if I've ever witnessed a big hailstorm come through. And with all these toters and all the investment that these folks are now putting into it, it's pretty heartbreaking to think about the idea of a hailstorm coming right through the place where you're parked. So it seems like there were some pretty awesome storylines that occurred there. Obviously, a young man who probably warranted a discussion point. If I were on last week, I would have told you I think he's one that would be in my list of potential top fives, and he went on and won the points title this weekend there, and that was Marshall DeBrew. So, I think there's a lot of pretty neat storylines as well, and certainly a pretty neat debut from the UD team as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just all across the board, really, just competitors, debuting new equipment, new, paint job or not. I can't say paint jobs anymore, but new wraps on stuff, and it's kind of a. We talked about that a few weeks back. The old you miss the old paint jobs, when everybody'd come out with a new paint job, but it's all vinyl now, but yeah, there's some gorgeous equipment we saw debuted this past weekend, and we'll get into that a little bit later after our rankings and stuff. But yeah, it was like you say about the storm. Really, there was a second one that come through, and it was about I would say about 5 miles south of where we were, and we got lucky with that one because that would have been a game ender right there if that would have hit. But it came through St. Louis, and tornadoes and unfortunate,
Yeah.
like we saw here in southern Kentucky. I mean, just absolutely terrible. And so it's thoughts and prayers with those people, because that's just unbelievable that the destruction that they bring with them. And it's getting not being from this area, and being a transplant, and just you never knew the devastation part of the tornadoes, and how serious, and when that alarm goes off, you can hear it, and it's like,
Sure.
So yeah, that's definitely something we've had to get used to here. But yeah, like I say, once again, thoughts and prayers everybody down there, and that's just terrible.
Absolutely. When I saw earlier in the week, when when you see the Dominator, and read the meteorologist that's always on TV, and then the guy you follow, Miles. What's that guy's name? He had
Ryan Hall,
yeah,
y'all.
Ryan Hall. Y'all had a representative in the area too, and I knew, when those guys show up, you're something bad's about to happen. And,
Bad, yeah.
unfortunately, for sure, down there in the Somerset area, they got hit really hard. So thinking about them this week for sure. But no, we got a tight schedule tonight, gentlemen. So why don't we get back into our driver rankings? And Dan, you want to get us started tonight?
Absolutely. We'll kick things off here with the number 5 in our power rankings here tonight for Unlimited Mod. So number 5 in our power rankings for the Unlimited Modifieds, going to be Doug Theobald. And Doug, with that, full-blown Wicked tractor, one of the guys that, one of the more or less new guys in the Unlimited class, coming from the, two-wheel drives for all those years, and then stepping into the light Unlimited class, and, evolving up through. But yeah, good to see that Doug got voted number 5 by his fellow peers.
Absolutely. And that tractor is always one that's just amazing. They just keep that stuff on kill, like the RPMs that those engines are able to produce. I always think to myself, I don't know how they hold it together, but they always do. And a great group of people, and a great pulling family, ambassadors for the sport, many generations now, with Doug's father, and then Doug's sons now, and of course Doug's wife as well, pulling. It's a really, really neat deal to follow all of the progress of the Theobalds. But yeah, well deserved in the number 5 spot here tonight, I believe. What do you think, Miles?
No, I definitely agree. I think he's been a pretty quick, steady Took the light mod class and learned pretty well what he needed to do, and bolting the third one on and going with a screw blower combination sort of changes the dynamic with all the torque it creates, and you have to get your balance of your tractor to be right as well, and that's been something I think he's done very well and seems to have done quite easily over the course of the last few years. So the pursuit of horsepower is certainly something those guys do a lot, and Doug and Grant and Mason and Renee and Keith and also Josh, their gentleman at home who doesn't get to come as much but does a lot of the tuning as well. They definitely are onto something, and they're showing it not just in the mini division but also in the unlimited, where they go out here with that triple. So
Absolutely. So number 5 is, of course, Doug Theobald, a Shelbyville, Indiana-based full-blown Wicked machine. Let's go and see who you voted for number 4. And right there, Peyton, Iowa-based Adam Bauer and the cross-threaded. And, fellas, we've talked about him in the minis. I mean, this guy can drive anything. And the rumor is that there's a diesel super coming, and I hope that's true. It's going to be really neat to see him, find that learning curve and go out there and kick tail in that class too. Like he's just naturally born gifted, been around the sport for many, many years, and this tractor is always fun to watch. The 5-engine combination and the things that he's been able to do with it, I think, is very worthy of a number 4 spot here for sure.
Yeah, there's no question. You got to think about just how dominant he's been in pretty well everything he's participated in. And another one where they've configured that tractor and continue to change and sort of modify where they place that 5th engine and how they want to configure it to help with the balance of that tractor. And it seems like the last couple of summers they've really kind of been on a much greater path of success with the cross-threaded after a couple of years of struggle. So Adam is a driver. He can drive pretty well anything. And I think we've all talked about, if you had the choice to potentially put him into something, I think he'd probably help you make a really successful path regardless of what you're driving.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And congratulations, Adam, for, being able to get into 2 classes, being voted on, power ranking wise. And, that says a lot there for, what everybody thinks of him out there and running, is, ranked in the mini rod and ranked in the unlimited class. And we'll see next year, when he gets that diesel super together, how that's all going to play out there. But
I'm more concerned about the logistics of how that's all going to work. Because they all don't always pull at the same place at the same time. So how are they going to do that? But I guess it'll be maybe a limited schedule for the new tractor until they get the bugs worked out of it, for sure.
Well, after number 4, of course, comes number 3. I get the honor of revealing the 3rd tractor, or the 3rd driver tonight in our power rankings, as voted on by the class in the unlimited tractor class. Certainly none other than Brad Benedict. And if you were going to ask me, Miles Krieger, he was one I was giving very strong consideration for the number 1 spot in my sort of power ranking, my personal power ranking. He just seems to make the screw blowers work to his favor, and the balance is there, and very, very tough out. Now he just has to be able to get the longevity that he needs out of those power plants and be able to run a full season at the level that he does, and he'll be a points champion, I think, because they really, really have started to get to this tractor, as well as Kevin's tractor, to be in the hunt. And obviously campaigning these 2 and then also running a modified last year, they were pretty busy guys, no question, but great ambassadors for the sport. And he's one, like I said, that I had up on my list very, very high.
Yeah, and one team that they do not let up. That is for sure. I mean, like you said, Miles, it's that longevity that they're, looking for out there, because I mean, they flat lean on that equipment. There is no question that they don't leave everything, leave everything at every event. I mean, that is just one thing about their tractors. Now, next year, talking to Brad at the banquet this past winter, he had said that they're going to take that modified tractor and convert that to an unlimited as well. So we'll see how that all shakes out, whether or not they're going to run the 3 or we'll change the plans up a little bit. But he says, as of then, he was saying, we're gonna run all 3 in the unlimited class, and it just makes more sense for us. So we'll see what happens. But man, a 3 unlimited team, that's going to be a lot of work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to number 2 here in our power ranking. So we've got 5 through 3. Let's see number 2 here. So number 2 in our power rankings is a guy that, what can you say? Championships, wins, you name it, he's done it. Joe Ader, North Collins, New York, and, going to be right in that hunt once again here. No question this year for another championship. Just a guy that, you would automatically, when you say power rankings, you're automatically going to write Joe's name down.
Absolutely. And, you said champion, you said all the words of, you didn't say Coney dogs. Like that's still one of the things I feel like the 3 of us one of us needs to get down there to Crystal River and check that place out. Cause I keep hearing really good things about, not only is he a puller extraordinaire and a great businessman, but pretty good restaurateur as well down there in the Florida area for sure. But well deserved. Like I think we would be remiss if we did not have him mentioned in the top 5 for sure, as successful as he has been over the years in various classes, but definitely in the unlimited class.
I definitely agree. I think it's hard to think of anybody who's been more kind of influential in this last decade. For sure in the unlimited game, kind of taking the torch bearing from Bill Voorhees and sort of moving forward there with the dominance that he's had here in this tractor, and many time champion. I think he's up to 8 or 9 now. So certainly surpassed win number 100 in Fort Recovery this past year, a national level win. So that was pretty awesome as well. So no question that this gentleman right here is a very, very worthy candidate for being in this top 5.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, there have been 4 and there can be only 1. So without further ado, let's check out who the pullers voted as the number 1 unlimited modified puller in the power rankings for 2025. None other than Uncle Dave Richardson, and very, very successful, longtime competitor, going all the way back to the days of, the Kodiak Bear and the various liveries that he's had over the years. Great 2-wheel drive puller in his own right as well, but very, very strong in the unlimited game. And hats off to him, as he's voted number 1 here tonight by the fellow competitors in the unlimited class for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I agree. He certainly has had the longevity in this game, and even took a break for a little while, and then came back with this tractor here in the unlimited, and it didn't seem like it phased him too much to be gone. And the combination of him and Chase and their awesome UD Motorsports team has allowed David to really kind of focus on the driving component of the game, which I think is such an integral part of success. if you are constantly working in the pit area and you're constantly thrashing and doing things, you don't really have the mindset maybe and the freshness that you need to be able to execute a vision on the track. And I think David has really been able to do that over the course of the last few years as their team has started to multiply and increase and help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure, Miles. I think that's right there. You hit the nail on the head. Is just, with that, getting that combination where it works and you're not working on them all the time, and hurting stuff and, making good passes. And, that's the big thing, really. I mean, and Dave is a driver. I mean, like you say, you put, up against anybody else and, the almost upwards of 30 years behind the wheel of a unlimited modified. That's, that the things you learn over the years, and it's very impressive. So,
yeah, well, I think
Dave
to Miles's point, he hit the nail on the head as well. If you get out and you have the opportunity to just read the track and concentrate on driving, and you don't have to worry about all the various things of, are the blower belts tight? Has everything been checked and double checked and triple checked, and you can just get in and drive. Then I think it helps a lot. Oh, and it looks to me like we have a visitor.
Yes,
so
there he is.
We're being joined by none other than Uncle Dave himself.
Hey,
Dave,
it's me and Bones.
And Billy.
And Billy.
Well, congratulations on being voted by your fellow peers as the number one driver in the unlimited class, the number one ranked driver.
Well, I might tell you, Billy called me and said this is rigged. He's the number one driver.
Boy, we get 2 for 1.
All right, sorry guys.
No, you're good.
You're good. All right, there he is. Well, Dave, congratulations, and talk a little bit about how you got into the sport. I know you go way, way, way back, from the beginnings of the sport, but let's just hear a little bit about how you got, actively involved into the sport of truck and tractor pulling.
I was years old. We took an old farm tractor out the fair. I drove it.
Okay.
There. So
Nice.
been here. We had to run a sled. Just so been involved in it. So I don't know how it got this bad and how we got this deep in it, but anyway, we did. So part of it.
Well, good. Well, we're glad to have you, and congratulations to you. And I know it's got to make you feel pretty good that your fellow competitors have ranked you number one against a group of really, really tough runners. So congratulations.
This was rigged, or Joe was it, but I'm not sure. I voted for Joe. I voted for everybody else except myself.
Well, that was good. That was good. Dave, can you take your phone and turn it sideways?
Is that better?
There
Yes.
we go.
There you go. Much
There
better.
we go.
There
Now we got
go.
the two. Now we can see the two of you.
There you go. That's better.
Not half of both of us.
Yeah, that's a lot better for sure. Definitely. That was. So now, Dave, the question I got for you is, you running the 2-wheel drives for all them years, and when did the idea to get the purchase set unlimited modified, from Brockman? What was was it just that time that you wanted to try something different, or what was behind that?
No, actually, I was in St. Louis, and they called and asked me if I would drive it, and then Brockman wanted out, so we ended up buying it, and then Kodiak stayed with us for the entirety until the tobacco law came in,
Okay.
Right.
and then we just that was about that deal. That was back whenever you used to make money pulling.
Well, right.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit from a bunch of different pullers about actually being able to make money back then. But yeah, that you guys had quite a relationship there for quite a while, with Kodiak, and it really did them well, as far as carrying the torch for them.
It was fun. We used to run, Chase as a kid. We used to stay in a semi most of the time, all year long. Well, 6 months out of the year. And it just got after it was TNT, is SRO, then Clear Channel. It went to a lot of different places. Then it just got to where all the money, left.
Right.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Dave, I got a question for you. As you look back, kind of at your time driving in this game, is there a specific tractor that you preferred, or is this new tractor with the increased horsepower your favorite?
The unlimiteds are great. Probably the most fun I ever had was like the light mods, the light unlimiteds. They were a lot faster. They don't beat you up as bad, and they're easier to drive.
Yeah.
But it's like that. There's always been good tracks where you go to a track and think like, wow. We went to we bought it off Brockman. They stuck a guy with us, had to go with us every time, Kodiak and all that. And then we got done, and Ron and I went to Essex Junction and ran against Stone and beat him. And that was like we tore a set of tires up and just threw them away, like 2 passes, jumped them. And it was a super fast ride. And that was back when we weighed 7,200 pounds, no roll bars. And that was probably one of the best passes ever made. Other than that, then maybe Bowling Green, we jerked 2 motors off and went to 3 motors, and Randy Petro beat me. And he told me, he said, we got ready, he said, this is going to be fun. I said, well, and I never had done it before. And it was probably either the second best pass I ever made in my life. Even though he beat me, but Randy always beat me.
Jump in
So,
the sand pile.
yeah.
That was a good one.
So now they're fun. The unlimiteds are like really fun, but they also can be a nightmare.
Sure.
Now, Dave, you've pulled in, the Superdome, you've pulled in the Astrodome, you've pulled, in all the big stadiums. Where's your favorite place to pull? I mean, was one of those the best of the best, or do you actually prefer an outdoor track?
My favorite place to pull is the closest pull we got to home, be Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
Okay.
That would be hands down by far the best.
That's a good one.
All right.
Okay.
You get free lunch, free ice. Good deal. And the track's really good.
There you go.
Fair enough.
That's awesome. Well, what's the plan, Uncle Dave, for this season? Are you going to chase the full Grand National Circuit, or are you going to just pick and choose?
Now we got a brand new tractor coming out. We actually as we lighten it up a little bit, we have more front end weight than we ever had. So that way, if Wayne Person brings that 8 motor tractor out, he can go ahead and run it. Won't matter. We're just going to agree with the 8,000 and whatever. We got a 2 motor tractor we're going to run this year. And then I'm not sure what Chase is doing. He doesn't talk to me anymore, hardly. Because he's an ass or I am one. I'm not sure. Anyway, no, we're gonna be all in. We CJ's got to play a dad for summer 2. He's gonna come help support us. Billy Beers is coming out with us. Gonna sort of like team up with him, and Billy's gonna be at all the pulls if I have to take him myself. We're going to be at all the Grand Nationals and maybe go run a little outlaw stuff.
All right, good stuff. Well, that's exciting. Well, we're looking forward to the season getting started, and looking forward to seeing you out there this summer for sure.
Oh, wait a
Now-
minute. One more thing. I guess we're going to start drinking Bush Light.
That's
There you go.
what I hear. Or as they say in the Midwest, Bush Latte.
Yes.
Some of them are going. Some of them are going to start drinking it. I've been drinking it for a long time.
Beautiful
Yes.
tractor.
There it is. Yes.
There's
Debuted this weekend.
Very nice.
There
Exciting.
we see the Bush Light. The T-shirts were hot sellers.
That's right. Well,
And we're going to start shooting.
Look at this
archery bows.
Dave, tell us about that one.
That was a farm show. The first time they had modified two-wheel drives, they talked me into putting a TV person in the cab with me. It was Ollie Schaefer's sled, and they said, "We want you to do a wheelie all the way down the track." I did. The TV guy that was filming got out, was crying.
scared him to death.
Ask Debbie Schaefer and Sherry Schaefer about that. That actually really happened.
Okay.
Well,
Debbie
Dave,
Sebastian, I'm sorry.
we were
Very
talking
now.
before.
Yeah.
We were talking before you came on. Who did your motors back then? Can you remember? Does that say Felker under there?
Say what? I'm sorry.
We're trying to see, like,
You get your
look at, like, who did your engines back then? Who was your engine builder? Do you remember?
On those we had Shively Speed Machine, a guy named Bill Felker.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
oh,
awesome.
Mosh, you know him, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we know him well.
that's the
That's
full
awesome.
deal.
And we know his
Yeah.
son AJ very well. I was trying, like, there's like, you can see Felker racing engines under the hood there. We were trying to see if that was actually what it said.
Hey, and what was that guy's name? Frank, that used to work for the drag race guy up there.
Yeah, Frank. He was with Jesse Ballou. Frank Spencer.
Yeah,
right.
Jesse Blue. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because we used to go over and we go to Greenville. Your dad would announce over all the time.
Yep, at Thunder Valley. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Awesome. That's great.
I
That's
remember
pretty
plain as
cool.
day.
That's pretty
Well,
cool.
Well, and Dave, I want you to know, coming up this fall, they are putting a historical marker there at Thunder Valley at the track, where to commemorate the history of Thunder Valley for the future.
That's great.
It's going to be cool for sure.
And
And I'm glad you were able to be there. I've talked to lots of folks who never were there and don't remember what it was like, but it was a really neat place back in its day.
yeah, I had the hill. Yeah, I remember it plain as day.
Yes, sir. That's awesome. Well, that's wonderful news. Well, fellas, you got anything else?
All right. Now, if you guys are done, I got to fly back to Kentucky tomorrow, so time me to go
That's
to
what we
bed.
say. Yes, you were. we don't have time for a Donald story. No, we're not do it.
There's not enough time for Donald's story.
Yeah, that's what I said.
We'll do that later.
Yep,
Well,
That'll have to
absolutely.
be a whole separate podcast.
For
Yes.
sure. Well, thanks, Dave, for joining us
Yes.
a while. Congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you down the road somewhere.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Pretty cool.
That's awesome.
It's a small world, they say, right? Small
And,
world when something
know,
like that.
I got to get a copy of that picture to AJ Felker. He will absolutely love it.
Yep.
Now, was somebody that did a lot of engines for those
Yes,
two-wheelers or those? Okay.
Well, our father's one of his best friends in the world was a gentleman named Bill Felker, who was a world-renowned engine builder in drag racing, specifically super stock and modified eliminator back in those days. and he did a lot of naturally aspirated engines, but I never knew he did pulling motors. Like I had no idea.
Okay.
So
All right.
this is opening up a whole new, history that I did not know existed. So that, like when Miles caught that earlier, does that say Felker? We just verified that Bill Felker made pulling engines, which I had no idea that ever happened.
That's really cool.
Pretty awesome.
That's
For
really
sure.
neat. Well, congratulations there to Dave Richardson. Is he, not one to never have a good time? That's for sure. As we see the unlimited modified, so that brings us to a close here in our full pull driver rankings for 2025. As we see Doug Theobald, Adam Bauer, Brad Benedict, Joe Ader, and Dave Richardson voted number one by his peers in unlimited competition. And so, what did you guys have? What did you guys have for your rankings?
Mine were fairly close. I felt like Ricky Rose was deserving of the conversation, so I had him kind of in my also mentions, but I don't think I could have hit it any better than the top five in there. You can't. I mean, you can't really leave any of them out. I don't think if you're talking about driving ability, if you're talking about longevity, Ricky Rose is one that I would sort of add to the list. And of course Wayne Purser, but I don't know if he's running a full schedule. I'm not sure how that all works, so I didn't have him in my list because I'm not sure if he's considered an active driver or not. But I felt like maybe Ricky Rose should have been in the conversation, but I can't argue with any of those top five for sure.
Right. How about you, Miles?
Yeah, I don't disagree with the five that we had. I had them probably in a little bit of a different order, we'll say, than that. I think I had Joe, kind of at the front of my group, and Brad Benedict there in the number 2 position. Much like Jeremy, I gave some consideration to Ricky Rose and Kevin Criswell. And I think there's been a lot of discussion over the years about some of those folks that just keep kind of coming back and refining their program. And then certainly Ricky has been a guy who's just been there. And he doesn't drive as much now in the mod with his son doing the mod class driving, and Ricky just focusing solely on the unlimited. So, I like I said, I'm not here to be critical of the 5 that were chosen. I think they all warrant great consideration. I probably would have had it just a little bit different, but I think that's okay. And I apologize for the black screen and my departure there at the very beginning of Dave's video. I have no idea what happened, but the computer went black, and now I'm on my phone. So,
all right, well, welcome back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And same thing for me too. I had same basic top 5 as well. I just had them in a different, like Miles said, in a different order as well. And I had Joe number 1, I had Adam number 2 in my order, and then Dave was 3, and so everybody was kind of Brad, and then I had Doug 5. So I mean, it was basically the same 5, just in a different order. And like you said, that's all objective, and that's the cool thing about it, is everybody's got an idea of who they think or what they think. But say, myself never being behind the wheel of one of these, I mean, it's kind of, you're just, a different view from one of these as far as, and like Dave says, they actually beat you up as you drive them. And,
Right.
that's interesting, that say that. But I mean, you look at some of the runs that they make with these things, and yeah, I could see that being an issue,
Oh yeah, especially if you get a lot of flex in the chassis, and one wheel in, and if they go crazy on you and you're trying to keep them in bounds or whatever. There's definitely kind of reminiscent of what we saw at Sullivan's a couple of weeks ago, with everybody going out of bounds, and Craig Sage just making an unbelievable pass, but it beat him up, and he only had 2 on that night. So.
Yeah, that's I mean, sure, I'd like to give it a whirl, if anybody out there is willing to, but no, that's
Oh yeah, I mean, driver for hire. I've told you before, and now that we have a podcast, we need to have some sort of a driver challenge where all 3 of us get to drive something and all the money goes to charity. I think it would be great.
I'll just drive the Gator.
Well, I was just gonna ask, Miles, you in on this with us?
No, he still doesn't want to drive anything.
No
desire. No, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm in. Put me in put me in and feet, fingers and toes. Let me drive it all. Give it to me.
All in. Gotta try something.
Absolutely.
Gotta. They say it's
Pedal tractors. Yeah. Thank you, producer. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be fun too. Can we do some pedal tractors?
pedal tractors, and
That would be pretty neat. So, well, do we want to get into our historical, our favorite unlimiteds of all time?
yes, producers making me thirsty here with
Thank you,
all
Boosh
these
Latte.
lights. Yes, but
Here's the wrap job, and of course our friends out of the great state of Michigan, Race Wraps folks, putting some beautiful new colors on those machines for
yes.
UD Motorsports and Boosh Light.
Yeah, it's awesome when you can connect pullers to pullers. You think about Mick and Christine and the experience that they're getting working on vehicles every off season. It's been awesome, and they're getting their hands on more and more and more. It's just becoming pretty awesome to see just how many they're working on. But I know this was one they.
Uh-oh.
All right. Well,
I've never seen this happen before.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. Let's get into our all-time favorite unlimited. There's Miles back.
And he's back.
You guys were gone from my screen, and I was talking the whole time.
This is what happened, Miles. You were.
Yep, and then all of a sudden that was it. You were in that thought, and then that's all. That's what we heard.
Sorry, guys.
That's
No,
okay.
you're totally good. Well, let's talk about some of our favorites. I don't know who's going first. We'll let Mr. Producer, Mr. Jason, tell us who he's got. There's Dan. All right.
Here we go. Dan's going to kick it off here with my five.
Ooh,
and there's a tractor. I've got a soft spot for Allison tractors, and this tractor just reeked awesomeness. I mean, everything from the flames to how this tractor ran to it, just what a just an awesome piece. And of course you can't beat the sound of an Allison. But
No.
The Diekmans, great over the years with them Allisons, and really brought them Allisons, them and the Bollingers brought them back into existence, so we could enjoy them for many, many years, and, thank them for doing that, what they, all that research and development that they did with these. But yeah, that's my number 5 right there, is the Rat Poison tractor.
Very nice. Ooh.
My number 4 is Leo K's Driller. This was a tractor that Ronnie Reed had a hand in building, and they actually built this tractor when Leo went from the 3-engine combination to the 5, and this 5 Aries tractor. This is a picture I took back in Bowling Green back in, I think it was 87. I took this picture, and you can see this engine facing us here. They got the supercharger off it, and they were in the process of fixing it. But yeah, that was the tractor itself just had that look to it, and just that's my number 4 all-time favorite tractor right there. And then once again, another Allison here. The Money Pit and the Bollinger family. It just the sound and the competitiveness. It's just once again that soft spot for Allison's does a lot. So, but yeah, that's my number 3 right there, is Steve Bollinger's Money Pit tractor. Missed that on the unlimited circuit. And then I'm not a turbine guy, but as you guys know, the Walsh brothers, I've got a soft spot. And this tractor here, I mean, this picture really doesn't do it justice, but it just, I mean, the tractor, the green that they had on it, and it just, I mean, in the sunlight, this thing just gleamed. I mean, the spouts on the front were like a gold anodized color to them. It just, the whole thing just a really good looking tractor. And yeah, the Walsh brothers tractor, the Irish Challenger there, that was the one unfortunately they had the accident with. But yeah, that was just to me, that's my number 2 favorite right there, just on looks alone. And then right there, what can you say about that tractor? That just, when you saw that tractor in real life, it just was, what an animal. And in Tim Engler, Mission Impossible. Now this was the tractor that he won, all 4 championships with on the NTPA circuit, and the year before he got 3 championships with it. So I mean, it just an animal, and it had that look to it, with the longer fenders in the back, and it just that's my number one favorite tractor right there, the 5-engine tractor.
That's a good one for sure.
So there's my top 5 all-time favorites in the unlimited class. And well, there you go, Jeremy. You're up.
All right, my turn. The LD Nation with the 4 aces. I love this tractor, and I love the way those motors were offset. I don't know if anybody else thought that was as cool as I did, but just to me, it was really neat, that combination and the way they had them mounted. I always just kind of liked the way it looked, and beautiful tractor. And of course, LD Nation is a legend in our sport, and that's one of my most favorite tractors. So I've got that one in there for sure. So then, of course, Uncle Sam, the Oklahoma-based machine of Wayne Purser, another one that I've always loved. And as I understand it, he's got one that's just got, like 7 or 8 engines on it now that they're working on and working with, just continuing to push the envelope. Can't wait to see what that one does. But I loved the the graphics and the Uncle Sam's on his various tractors over the years, and he's one that I think is a really good driver as well. And then, of course, Ricky Rose, who we talked about, I felt like he deserved an honorable mention, kind of also mentioned, definitely one of the best, I think. And in terms of thrashing, like you go to Bowling Green or you go to Toma or you go to one of these places where these guys run both mod and unlimited, it's unbelievable to get a telehandler over there and see how quickly they can put one on or take one off. They have got it down to an absolute science, and it's really neat to watch sort of the choreography in the pits when they work on putting the motor in or taking one out. So Giddy Up, of course, is one that I felt compelled to include here tonight as well.
Jeremy, do you remember Jeremy when he was at Toma when he ran all 3 of them?
Yes.
Remember? Yeah. Okay.
I do.
was trying to remember. I'm like, yeah, I think it was Toma. He did that.
And it was unbelievable to watch. Like just they had it all figured out, and that they could do it in about 35 or 40 minutes from top to bottom. They had somebody over there driving a big telehandler. They lift the motor up on a pulley system, drop it in, bolt it on, plumb everything, and go. And they would then once it was over, they would take one off and do whatever they needed to do, and they ran that tractor multiple times. It made you almost tired watching them do it, but it was really, really neat. But okay, let's go on to my next one here. This is Milt Bergman, and this is the Rambunctious, and there were other iterations of this one that got even more crazy. But I just thought the way he was able to, kind of cab over, if you will, put him out in front and then do all the crazy things with the motors behind him. I've always enjoyed seeing how many different Rambunctiouses there were over the years, and they got even crazier than this one for sure. And then this one, the Schrammix Youngblood Unleashed, 6 of them in line. And I remember seeing this tractor at Chapel Hill, Tennessee one year and thinking, wow, the Schrammix, who were always kind of famous for pulling smoke and the diesel tractors, they got into the modified ranks, and they did pretty good with this tractor in its day. But they were very, very busy between the smoke tractors and this machine. But this one I thought was always pretty impressive, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. And now it's Miles's turn.
Yeah, I apologize for technology issues, folks, as certainly we continue to have them. Gentleman needs no introduction, and certainly one who I love this tractor, but I also love the following. He had a fan following and a just very loyal group of people that just supported the American Thunder entry, and everywhere you went, the dump truck motor shirts were flying around, and this gentleman was just as tough an out as you could imagine, and one of the most dominant in the history of this game in the unlimited division. With his roots being in pro stock, he kind of just carved a path right here, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it won't be too long, and he's going to be doing the same thing kind of in that modified or light mod division. So Bill Voorhees, obviously, in the American Thunder out of Argus, Indiana, one of my top 5 here. Then we have Rodlin, and obviously Rodlin Knox was somebody who carried the banner for a lot of women. The country girl, you think about today's game and just how many women are participating in this sport and how awesome it is to see them out there. When we were all kind of growing up and cutting teeth in this game, it really wasn't that way. There were, a handful of ladies who were willing to participate and get out and do this. So certainly, Rodlin was not just there to be a class filler; she was there to win. And the combination of John and Brian and her, and this very tractor here, which I would tell you was probably one of my very favorites of the group that she brought, was just very tough. And then the combination of Chuck Knapp and his son, they just seemed like the transition from two-wheel drive and Kylo giving up the wheel of his truck and focusing solely on being a tuner for dad. It just made it seem so easy. And there were years where it just looked so easy for them when they brought this tractor out and just so dominant. I hate that Chuck is not with us to compete right now just because of his health issues. He was not able to do so anymore, and he sold this tractor. I believe this tractor is actually going to be out some in the summer of 2025, and that would be awesome. But hate that it won't be with the Screaming D livery and with Chuck doing the driving. But this one definitely warranted being in my top 5, I believe. And then obviously I'm flying the banner here tonight as well with the Black Widow of Kathy Archer Schalitz. And obviously she was just her and her dad Dave were tough, and for many years 2 tractors, and then it kind of got to where they were just running the one, and she became the sole driver and very similar age of mine, and so we got to be friends and whatnot over the years, and that tractor just became tough. And it was very, very difficult out in the game as well, and one that won a lot of events. So it's right there in my top, and then certainly I would give it, that number 2 position right now in my top 5. And I can't not say what Dan just did either. You think about the Mission Impossible and the Unlimited, and you think about all the history of this particular tractor and Mr. Engler. I think it has to be one of the most recognized names and one of the most recognized people in this game over the years in the Unlimited class. And so I would certainly have to put him on my list in my top 5. There are a few tractors I considered that I thought I might want to put in, and I'll just be honest with you. When Steve Boyd bolted the screw blowers on to the green streak, and they went to Bowling Green that year, and he had to back out of the throttle at about 400 feet going 35 mile an hour. That was one that warranted some consideration in my mind, and certainly that's still modern era tractor, but that thing was unreal with that screw combination. When they could get the power to the ground, it was lethal. And certainly you think about the Banner brothers and all their successes. None of us even had a Banner tractor in our top 5 here, but I think they warrant some discussion and maybe bounce from mod to unlimited or however you view it. But they would have been people I would have looked a little deeper in as well.
Sure.
Yeah, what can you, like you say, what can you say about the Banner brothers? That all the different over the years, the different combinations,
Brown,
from
Boring,
Wrangler,
Mr. Chevy,
yeah,
Big Ben.
yeah, it just you name it, and just always tough, and just very, very tough and unlimited. But yeah, that's some good lists, guys. That was good. That was a good list of
Always fun to go back into the Wayback Machine.
That is true. We stir it up, mix it up here every week on the show, and it's always fun to go back and talk about them, and who we liked is growing up and watching, and it's always kind of neat to look back on.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, it's been fun reminiscing about all of these driver rankings, and we've kind of concluded the list of 8 weeks of that. But Dan, I know we want to talk a little bit about your weekend at the Pullers Championship.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some winter videos here of the winners over the weekend here, and Friday night was challenging with the track with Mother Nature, messing things up there, but I'll tell you, hats off to the track crew on Saturday night. Really got it done and gave probably this was my third time in Nashville, and that was the best track that that light modified class on Saturday night. What a show they put on. They really, Terry Feist came out on top of it, and it just I think that is going to be a class that, whether it's Outlaws or NTPA, you're giving up quite a bit of weight, but I think that's going to be a class that the fans are really going to get behind. And because I'm a believer now, I've seen these outlaw ruled modifieds here a couple times now, and I'm really liking them. I'm really liking the rules package with the more weight on them. And it, they put on a great show, and and like I say, hats off to the Feist crew. They really, Terry and Todd really did a great job this weekend, and coming out with the overall weekend championship there. That was really good to see. But I mean, it was a good mix of guys from Texas. All the Outlaws came up, and mixed in. We had ITPA champion, the Phipps were there. And Todd and Terry came on over. Their other tractor's not ready yet, but Terry took the reins of hers, and and really I think that was the highlight for me this weekend, was that light modified class. And then too was also a lot of the unveilings with the everybody with new graphics and everything for the season. And what'd you guys think of Adam Kester's? I posed that question. He's got two brand new tractors, and the other one's a year old, and new schemes on all three of them. What do you think of those?
Oh, they're beautiful. For me though, like I'm so used to him being covered in the middle.
Yes.
Like he's always had the the middle of the tractor, his legs are covered, and these tractors don't have that. And so to me, it's been kind of a it's like, oh, was he going to put that on later or? But no, they're beautiful. The blue one especially. I'm a big fan of all the color schemes, but I think I'm partial to the blue one of the three right now.
I think that's the one he picked, was the blue one that he was leading towards as well. So yeah, they look fantastic, and there were obviously that's a hard deal, getting three tractors together and trying to be able to run a business, because right now it's his busy time as well, trying to get everybody else's stuff ready for the season. So
For sure.
Kudos to him and getting three tractors, two brand new ones down, and getting sort of the maiden voyages and those passes together and having a little data.
And I don't know about you guys, but it's been really cool seeing Aaron wrenching on various parts, and seeing that little boy do his thing on clutch discs and tire pressures and all the things he's doing now. I love it. I think it's and I think his papaw, wherever he is loving every minute of that.
Sure thing.
Absolutely. And and Peter Norton had debuted his two new tractors there, and Peter drove Friday night and Saturday night. He drove the one, and Jeremy drove the other one. And and I'll tell you, Peter looked like an old pro there. He looked pretty good, so behind the wheel there. And we saw Mason Theobald's new tractor there, and I was kind of kidding Doug. I'm like, boy, this is kind of a because it didn't have any graphics on it, and you could tell that bugged him quite a bit, because I mean, Theobald's have always, everything is always looking perfect,
Perfect.
and the graphics guy didn't was supposed to have done this, but yeah, seeing out there with plain fenders on it, that was kind of unique. But yeah, that was yeah, the mini class had quite a few of debuts there, and that was pretty neat to see.
Well, it was good to see Tanner Nelson getting out as well. And I know he's trying to get some seat time with that machine. So good to see him kind of entering the fray and kind of getting some, getting some experience in the seat for sure.
Did you guys happen to see there's the blue one there that
it's beautiful.
My favorite there is and like I told Mom, I said it kind of takes me back to Larry's blue, almost.
Absolutely.
That's kind of the the idea behind. But that's all sharp, all
Beautiful.
sharp there, and carrying those shell rotella colors. But did you guys happen to see the Kyle Holland's new tractor, the super stock diesel tractor? He's got the Agco.
Agco entry.
Yes, and now he's the same guy that had the John Deere, right, from somewhere in central Indiana, right?
Yeah, Kyle and Matt ran the Light
Okay.
Pros, and yep,
Okay.
they had the one was the Black Tornado, and
Yeah.
That was the Light Pro.
Okay.
and
Now they've got a Case Pro Stock tractor, and they've got that Agco tractor. They're running the super stock side. So.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, just come out of Kent Paint Shop there, and boy, what a gorgeous, and it ran really good first time down the track on Friday night, and that was impressive to see. So super stock diesel class, some there's the old Black Tornado. Seen that tractor win a time or two, but it's everybody says with the super stock diesel class, it's hanging on here and there, and then it's good to see some new tractors coming out, so that's always good to see, is new equipment out there. But as Miles had talked about earlier, I mean, what can you say about young Marshall DeBrew here this weekend? I mean, Saturday night was in that number one, or Friday night was in that number one spot for almost the whole class until the Cummins killer came out and the last hook there. But then on Saturday night, he did what he did. And I mean, that's impressive. I mean, pass number 5 and 6 for the weekend for that young man. And in a class where we talk about, driver's class, like here is a guy that, 5th and 6th time behind the wheel of that truck, and, a lot of success there. So that's going to be interesting to watch him, throughout the summer here.
For sure.
But also we got to give Vern Hoosier some props there. Another good weekend. I talked to Vern quite a bit there on Saturday afternoon, and we kind of went through his historical different tractors he's had over the years, and it was kind of nice talking with him there, and him having a good run. I mean, twice I've seen that tractor run, and he's won with it. So I told him, I said, we got to work on that for Louisville there for him. But that was good to see him in the winner's circle there on Friday with that light modified class.
Absolutely. Seems like you all had a great time up there and dodged the weather. Like when I saw the hail videos, I thought, well, they're done. But they, the track was covered and they knew what they were doing, and it was great to see that you guys could get to pull in. Oh, look at that one. There's a great picture of it.
Yes, there we go. The King of Smoke and his 460 running in the light class, and that's going to shake things up this summer. Him running on the Grand National circuit. Made one pass on Friday, wasn't able to come back on Saturday with it, but it's going to be, I think it was 2011 was the last time that he was out on the Grand National with that light tractor. So it's good to see him back out there, and that'll make things interesting against those Alkies.
For sure.
And one more thing we'd like to add about the Pullers Championship too is the Pisix tractors. Just an awesome weekend for them. And did you guys see the Hoosiers they got on the front of it? They actually have I forget one of their neighbors runs like a micro sprint, and he had little Hoosiers, and he's like, hey, I wonder if we could. So they had a wide 5 hub for them, and yep, there they see them Hoosiers they got on front there. They're
wow.
Yeah, it's kind of they make them look really cool. I told them I think that was the hot setup here this weekend, but yeah, they look something a little bit different on the front of those tractors. But yeah, they had a great weekend, and they're looking for, of course, big things here on the summer as well. So yeah, it's starting to ramp up, guys. I mean, we're getting to that point where the events are going to come fast and furious, and everybody's going to be out for these championships, and that's what we look forward to.
Absolutely, and we'll have lots to talk about for sure.
Absolutely. So, all right. Oh, there it is.
Let's do our videos.
Yes, there's that Agco. Black Tornado Revive. the name on the side of that.
Beautiful.
Of course, Ken Payne, having a great weekend there with his Super Rooster. He's ready to go as you would expect for him. That's Ken Payne, ready to roll there. So, yeah, some great runs here this weekend for those competitors, and yeah, it's full on here in just another couple weeks.
Yeah, won't be long, but we'll all enjoy the long holiday weekend, and hope you guys, wherever you are have a great, safe weekend. And I know Dan and I will be headed to Central Indiana to watch a little 500-mile race that we
Yes.
we did that for the first time last year, and one of these years, if Miles isn't cheaping, he's going to join us.
Yes, had to meet us at the Brickyard. Yes, that got to be a good time. Yeah, episode 11. What are we got no rankings next week. We got I'd have to say probably something in as far as like a season preview kind of deal, and we're kind of get ready to go with the season as it's going to ramp up here, and Grand National Circuit. We're 3 weeks away from that starting up there, and of course we got the big one in Farley coming up as well. So
Yeah,
lots of big events
talk
going
about
on.
it, and won't be any lack of content and things to discuss as we sort of get down to the nitty gritty before the season starts. And I think, to your point, once it does, there'll be even more to talk about. But maybe some of the storylines, things we're looking forward to, things we're interested to see this season, and maybe some people we're kind of having our eyes on, and particular competitors. I think the young man, the youngster DeBrew, his weekend there is I think going to put him on pace to be one to watch without any question on the Grand National Circuit if he chases it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how I mean, like you say, he showed right there that one of the hardest vehicles to drive, and he's already taken to it very well there, and that's impressive. And and we talked about the new super stock diesels coming out this year in that class, and with Adam Bauer, and now we've got the Holland tractor, and we've been hearing rumors of the team there out of Maryland be coming back on the circuit. We'll see if that if they make their way back out. So yeah, it could be a resurgence here for that super stock diesel class. So yeah, we'll see how that goes here in the next couple weeks.
Well, and I think, to your point, that I think the light mod class is going to be one to watch this summer. I feel like it's going to be just more competitive and more unbelievable than it's ever been. And you've got several people, Papal Wayne included. It's going to be very interested to see the crafty veteran come out and try to take it to the house this year with the Kentucky and among other competitors. It's going to be very, very fun class to watch. And I thought, to your point, seeing Terry Feiss up there at the pulling championship, the pullers championship this past weekend. I know how aggravated she was when we were at Glencoe, when she took the tractor out of bounds, and so sort of vindicated herself and got that tractor A to B, and ended up sweeping the weekend. So congratulations to her.
Yep. So I'd say with that, guys, we're going to sign off here for episode number 10. Now, Miles, you got anything more to add before we head on out here for our Memorial Day weekend?
Just thanks for everybody dealing with my technology issues here and my voice not doing so well. And we're going to go show sheep this weekend in Illinois, so hopefully I'll be able to, give you a recap next week as well as we get done with that. But it's been good watching. You guys got to go to Sullivan's, and obviously, Dan, you got to make the trip to Nashville, and so anxious for my first trip of the summer and to be able to kind of get back out in the saddle of it all. But proud of those that have already won and the events that have already been held, and thanks for just supporting us along the way on this deal.
Absolutely. Keep the feedback coming. Keep the messages and the DMs and the text coming. We really appreciate your feedback. And
For sure.
like I say, if you have a some content or a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, please don't hesitate to mention it. We'll try to work it in. And thanks to Full Pull, and thanks to everybody for the opportunity to bring you this program.
All right, guys.
Around here. All parts of everybody. Thank you, bud. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that's the run Tyler was looking for.
Rounds, they work their way across the highway from